Don't boo, just vote. In this case, don't boo, say no. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, the news of the last day or two or whatever, I can't even tell y'all. Because, y'all know me. I don't get into stuff like that. But, you got Gervonta Tank Davis. Uh, can I call him, man? He's been a champ. Has he been a real champ? I think he was a real champ in the 130 pound division. But, gets a couple of the fake belts or whatever. But he was also considered face of boxing. Gervonta Davis, good boxer though, versus Jake Paul. The YouTuber turned boxing. It's kind of taking boxing a little bit more serious, but the dude's about 200 pounds. They, got an exhibition about to pop off in a couple of months, and they're doing some pressers and face-offs and stuff like that. Man, y'all know I'm not a good YouTuber. I ain't got time to talk about stuff like that. Grown ass man. Listen, I used to watch the WWE, just not the fights. The lead up, the talking that they were doing, and when they walk to the ring walks and stuff like that. I always thought that was good. Even as a little kid, I thought that was good. Just the fights is like, okay, then I can turn the channel then, because somebody gonna get hit with it, get distracted. Somebody gonna get hit with a chair. Bottom line, whatever. So when it comes to Jake Paul and boxing, he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing. He's getting better too. It looks like he's getting better. And at some point, his record's not bad. But he's just fighting whoever he can fight, and getting paid a lot of money to do so. Whatever. Gervonta Tank Davis. Me, I always say about certain fighters in boxing. I don't cover him that much. Gervonta, when you say once you start calling the face of boxing, then that just means it's kind of popular. I was surprised that a black fighter can get away with not fighting the best fighters in the division. That surprised me. But hey, more power to him. But I just ignored him, much. It's like, dude, once somebody else in his weight division was undisputed and somebody else was called the best fighter in his division, and that people seen, I'm talking about Lomachenko and Devin Haney and stuff, then I'm like, the dude ain't trying to fight nobody really hard. But I still would say the people that he did fight, others wouldn't have done that well against him. So I'm going to give him that. He's a good fighter and all that, but, grown-ass man, I ain't got time for that. So this fight here, when I'm looking at it, it's just like Canelo fights. I always tell you when Canelo's fighting, me and my lady go out to eat. We ain't got, it ain't, we doing something else, or it's movie night or something. Something else popping off. Canelo's fighting, it's not going to be anybody that I wanted them to fight or that I think, is going to really beat them. So there was no reason to tune in. Like Canelo Plant was probably the last one. We was like, okay, that's gonna be pretty good. But the other one's like, man, oh, so really you're gonna fight this guy instead of this guy? You're gonna fight this guy instead of this guy? Yo, you're gonna fight this guy instead of these two guys? It's been like that for so long that it's like, man, whatever. So I ain't really get into it. Next day, maybe I might check it out on YouTube or something like that. But it ain't like I'm getting hyped for it, right? So and Gervonta, similar. Right, we could have had the rematch with him and Roach, but that ain't happening. So he goes into a fight with Jake Paul and everybody. They weights apart. It's an exhibition, but maybe not an exhibition and whatever. Man, whatever. Listen, boxing fans, real ones, that's a night off. Enjoy your partner on that night. You know what I'm saying? Then you ain't gotta watch that. Do you watch the WWE? Watch the lead up maybe when they do some stuff at the press conferences and stuff or whatever, if that's what you into, right? But it ain't no real fight, and it's really it's incredible that they're gonna make money from this. It's really incredible, man. So, but whatever. Turn your attention to some real stuff. We got real fighting going on. We got Turkey Alashi in fighting. I even hear something like Teofimo Lopez is being forced to fight Keyshawn Davis if he don't fight Shakur Stevenson. That's big news of the day. That's like, okay, Teofimo, are you going to be over here standing in line next to try to fight Jake Paul? Because you ain't trying to fight nobody. The WBO is like, okay, well, if you don't fight Shakur Stevenson, which was cool, then we're going to force you to fight Keyshawn Davis if he can stay up, get his weight together and get his mind right. But I think boxing is going to get to the point where, with Turkey Alashi, either great fights or, Jake Paul or his brother or the KSI or whatever that's going on, or do something. But get up out of here. And boxing fans, hey, it would probably be your job to make sure they don't make too much money. If you really want to see Gervonta Davis fight somebody, You know what I'm saying? But Gervonta, he's basically done checked out. And like I told you, it's all these people when Turkish Ali came in, all those people who really don't want to fight nobody have issues. Like Canelo done messed around and got that money, he's gonna break camp, right? But a lot of them people, it's like, cause there's no more excuses now. He'll pay you good, but you're gonna have to fight somebody. That's really simple. That's what all the boxers were saying they wanted, right? Now you put on blast, and everybody's got issues now with the guy. He ain't really doing nothing but trying to give you the money you've been asking for, right? So now you see the ones it's getting weeded out who wants to fight and who don't want to, and the ones that don't want to fight have some kind of issue with Turkey Al-Shid, manufacturer issue. So man, listen, Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul or whatever, man, whatever with that, man. Enjoy your weekend on that one. Do something else. You ain't nobody forcing you to watch that. You ain't gotta watch that. Just ignore it and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Doma Sports Talk, worldwide, and whatever. And I'm up out of here, y'all.